Hello. So we're going to finish up your reference sheet. Hopefully at this point, you have gotten y by itself on both of these equations. Just to recap, when you get y by itself from standard form, it's only 2 steps. Move the x, then divide. The rest of the information is just tips. So for instance, if you just have a letter by itself, you can put a 1 in front of it. The other thing is if you have a negative in front of your number, please don't forget to divide by the entire number. So instead of dividing by 4, you divide by -4. But overall, it's 2 steps. Move the x, then divide. Everything else is just little tips. So what we're going to do is use our calculator to figure out what the solution to these 2 equations are. Remember that with equations, they create lines. And wherever those lines cross, that's the solution. So the first thing I want you to do is take your calculator and we're going to reset our calculator. So hit second, the blue button, second plus 7, and then you got to go over to all. So second plus 7, all, over, and then 1, 2. And that will reset everything. So you should get mem cleared. If you didn't, you probably didn't go over to all. So second plus 7, all 1, 2. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use our y equals button, which is over here in the upper left, to put in both of our equations, the -11 minus 1/2 x, and also the -14 plus 1/4 x. So we're going to be putting both equations into our calculator using that y equals button. So go ahead and click that y equals button. And then you're going to type the first one in. So the first one is -11 minus, and then we're going to do the fraction. So remember with fractions, it's alpha y equals number 1. Alpha y equals number 1. And that will give you the fraction template. If you missed that, ask your neighbor, because there's plenty of people in here who can tell you how to get that fraction in there. And then you got to put your x in. So that button is next to the green button. So get that typed into your first y equals. Arrow down. And we're going to put in our second y equals, which is -14 plus, and then our 1/4 is a fraction. So alpha y equals 1/4 x. So get both of those in there. Now what we want to do is look at the graph. We want to see where these 2 lines cross. So let's hit that graph button right there now that we have our equations in. Over here, you see this little line kind of moving upward. That means it's thinking. Once that's gone, it's done thinking. Problem is I can't see the entire graph. So click this window button real quick. This is your default window. So let's write that down over here. Our default window goes on your x-axis. You have a minimum and you have a maximum. It goes from -10 to 10. So from left to right, it goes from -10 to 10. And then it says the x scale is 1. That means it goes from -10 to 10 and it counts by ones. So -10, -9, -8, -7, -6, all the way up to 10. Now your y minimum and your y maximum also goes from -10 to 10. So from bottom, -10 to top, 10. And the scale is 1. That means it counts by ones. So when you're looking at the graph, it goes from -10 to 10 on the x, -10 to 10 on the y, and it counts by ones. They don't give you the numbers on your calculator, so you have to go into the window to figure out what that is. So the problem was with this scale, with this minimum and maximum, I can't see everything. So what we're going to do is use the zoom feature to zoom out in this case. So hit your zoom button, which is in the middle. And it looks like number 3 is zooming out. So zoom out means it's going to pull up so you can see more of the graph. Zoom in would be looking at a smaller scale. So we're going to hit number 3, zoom out. And you got to hit enter when you're back at the graph. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. So hit enter. And now it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. And now we can see where it crosses. So step 3, after you can see where it crosses, you're going to find that intersection. You're going to find that solution. So hit second, which is the blue button. Trace, which is up here next to the graph button. And then it says choose number 5, intersect. Number 5, intersect. And then it says the first curve, we're going to hit enter. The second curve, we're going to hit enter. Guess, we're going to hit enter. And then the very next thing is your intersection. So this says it crosses at 4, -13. So let's draw a little image of this graph. All right, here's what I notice. This one has a negative slope. So that must be this line because it's going down. So our line looks something like this. This one has a positive slope. So that's probably this one because it's going up. I'm color coding, so I wanted to make sure I had the right color to the right line. The intersection is x equals 4, y equals -13. 4, -13. That's our solution. You're going to use these steps on your maze. You have 3 different mazes. You may have maze 1, you might have maze 2, you might have maze 3, but you're going to be working through starting at the start. So wherever your start is on your maze is the first one that you're going to go with. You know what? Now that I'm looking at these, there is no, oh, right here, start. So we're going to start here. If it's already in y equals, you're good. But if you have one where it's not in y equals, use the back of this paper to do this process. Because remember, you can't use your calculator until both of those equations have y by itself. So go ahead and start working on that. Your goal is to get through the entire maze using this tool with your graphing calculator. If you have any questions, you can ask a neighbor or you can ask your sub.